Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Gone are the days of wrestling with our favorite LJN wrestling figures, trying to convince them to stand up. What's a guy to do? I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get on Etsy and look up 4 Left 3D Creations and get yourself these amazing custom LJN figure stands. There is a custom stand available for every single one of your LJN wrestling superstar figures. Make your display shine by grabbing these custom LJN stands from 4 Left 3D Creations today.
Hello, everybody. Today's Nut, New Age Revolution, Cave. A little bit of a plum, and gone. All right, here we are, folks. It's Monday on the big show, and it's LJN's Revisited as we continue to take a look at Series 2 of the LJNs. Now, I have gone through, well, pretty much all of Series 2. We got one more figure to go before we move on to Series 3. And the figure I'm going to talk about today is a figure that to me, this is one of the features of this toy line that sets it apart. The girthiness and the weight of King Kong Bundy. I remember opening this figure when I was a kid and being blown away at how heavy it is. Okay, this, look, in a pinch, if you needed to defend yourself, rob a bank, this is a weapon. The King Kong Bundy figure is a weapon, and I think could do some serious damage. Now, the reason I'm saying that is not to promote anything like that. Don't do any of those things. Don't drink bleach. But anyway, we used to throw these things around. As much as I hated any kind of non-wrestling figure play, these would get tossed around occasionally. You toss them at your sisters, they toss them at you back, whatever. If somebody took this in the head, this figure, they're going down. They're going down. King Kong Bundy, ladies and gentlemen, from Series 2 LJN. Believe it or not, a high-ranking figure in my life. I used this figure a lot despite the world's worst play pose. Despite the world's worst play pose, I used this figure all the time because King Kong Bundy in 86, 85, 86 was such a menacing force in the WWF. 85, such a force. 86, we get the main event at WrestleMania 2 with Hogan, and you've got one of the top bad guys of the time. Think about it. During your play, 85, 86, King Kong Bundy's the bad guy. There's Piper, sure, but Bundy's your guy, and I love this figure. I think it's close to perfect. I'm not sure what better play pose. I get what they're doing with Bundy, but what would we take? Maybe maybe something like that with Bundy. Maybe something like that with Bundy. But this worked so well, and I would. Let me grab a figure. Let me grab Ivan Putski. Wait, hang on. Let me grab my favorite XOX figure. I know I've said it all the time. Let me grab my favorite, Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes is hands down my favorite XOX figure. I was sitting on my floor last night down here doing something, I don't know, and I started wrestling Dusty Rhodes against Kamala. Right here, just on the carpet, not in the ring. And I loved this Dusty Rhodes figure so much. So anyway, what I would do with Bundy, you can't throw a punch with Bundy. So you know what you do as a kid? You improvise. Here's a punch. Ready? There's your punch. You want to see a clothesline? There's your clothesline. Right? Body slam? There's your body. You don't need play pose back then. And I loved this figure. This figure was played with a lot. This was a birthday 86 figure. May 86 I got this, and never teamed him up with Stud, though. I barely ever teamed him up with Stud. Bundy was just always a bad guy who would win, bad guy who beats Junkyard Dog. Bad guy who maybe challenges Ricky Steamboat and pushes Ricky Steamboat to the limit. Never turned Bundy good. And I really can't say he had any kind of title run. I really don't think I gave Bundy a belt. But a Bundy Hogan LJN match is such a fun match to have because Bundy can stay on top the whole match. Hulk Hogan can do the comebacks and all that. I just loved wrestling with this figure. Seriously, this is one of the, I don't know. I maybe I can come up with a new video of like the not just the top 10 LJNs, but the 10 LJNs that just ripped me back to childhood, ripped me back to sitting in the middle of a living room floor, carpeted living room floor with my ring in front of me. Bundy is one of those for sure. So King Kong Bundy is Series 2 LJN. Now, Bundy is a solid standing figure, but if you're going to have all of your figures uniformed and displayed nicely, you need this custom LJN figure stand from 4 Left 3D Creations with this incredible choice for a nameplate, I guess. If you remember in the LJN catalog or the WWF catalog, the T-shirt, Bundy's T-shirt, that's the design of Bundy's T-shirt. King Kong Bundy is, again, one of my favorites. Have I ever met Bundy? No. Unfortunately, never got to meet him. I don't know why I wouldn't. He didn't die that long ago when it comes to, he didn't die that long ago compared to when I was going out and meeting wrestlers all the time at, indie shows and legend shows and Hall of Fames and things like that. So I'm very surprised that I never actually got to meet King Kong Bundy, but good stuff. I've watched a few shoot interviews. You gotta not watch shoot interviews, really, because you get kind of turned off. And Bundy's shoot interviews, they're not great because they always put themselves as the biggest draw in the WWF at the time. And I was selling out this arena and selling out that arena. And Vince came to me and said he was going to put the strap on me. Those shoot interviews drive me nuts. But Bundy, probably a super nice guy, great, married with children. You remember he was in the Married with Children episode? Bundy, his last name Bundy. King Kong Bundy, folks. Let's take a closer look at one of my favorite figures thus far, and one of my most used figures, despite the play pose, King Kong Bundy. Let's take a closer look. All right, folks, here we are, the King Kong Bundy custom LJN stand. Get on Etsy and check out 4 Left 3D Creations and display your figures the best way you can with these awesome stands. Let's take a look at the gigantic, the walking condominium King Kong Bundy and all of his girth. That is a perfect face, folks. That's King Kong Bundy. As we said before, the arms are not ideal. In fact, the arms are probably the worst play pose you could get. But that did not stop me from playing with this figure so much as a kid. Close-up of the face. Great scowl. I love that toothy scowl. The size, folks. Look at this. Look at the hunched back. This is just a thick figure. And Bundy was round. Bundy was just kind of a beach ball, right? And this is perfect. This figure just is perfect. It captures Bundy perfect. Look at it from the back. I did a Wrestling with the Past episode a few days ago, and I freeze framed on Bundy walking away from the ring, and this is exactly what it looked like. I have a hard time differentiating between the figure and the man. So I'm not sure what we're looking at right now. We could be even looking at King Kong Bundy. I'm not sure. Look at the rolls in the head. That's so great. What a great figure. Thick legs. I mean, they just nailed Bundy. Again, play pose is debatable. What would have been okay? What play pose would have worked? Maybe Kamala's play pose. I don't know. I think this is the figure that they have to make. And it absolutely was fine as a kid. I loved it as a kid. Now, the next figure we're going to review, I hated as a kid because of his play pose. But it's the exact same pose. We'll look at that tomorrow. But there he is, folks. King Kong Bundy. One of my favorites. One of my most played with. A great figure. Dare I say a perfect figure. King Kong Bundy, LJN Series 2. We'll be back next week taking a look at George the Animal Steele. Till then, good night now.